Good morning. Welcome to the Haiti Coffee Hour. The coffee hour is on an account on current events in Haiti with Ruben Joanem. And I want to introduce myself. I'm Marcy Shapiro, and I am going to be the moderator this morning with Jairus Heckler, who will introduce herself. I am a member of the Solidarity Committee of the Americas, who is sponsoring this coffee hour, as well as a member of the Haiti Justice Committee. I've been to Haiti a couple of times. It's been a very educational experience for me. So I'm going to turn it over to Jairus.
I'm Jairus Heckler, and I am also a member of the Solidarity Committee on the Americas with Marcy and several other people that are on this call. And I have not been to Haiti, but I think it's a wonderful country to learn about.
So as I said, this is sponsored by the Solidarity Committee of the Americas. And we are an organization that is in solidarity with countries in Central and South America and the Caribbean. And we are concerned about US policy in all those countries and making sure that the US, opposing US intervention. I'm also a member of the Haiti Justice Committee, and the Haiti Justice Committee is also a solidarity committee group that is concerned about Haiti and the events that have been happening in Haiti, and supporting the people of Haiti and opposing US intervention in Haiti. I want to thank the 13 co-hosts for this event. There are 13 different groups that co-hosted it and let their members know about this coffee hour. So why are we having the coffee hour? Well, first of all, I just want to do a couple of logistical things. This coffee hour will be on Facebook and Zoom, and it will be recorded. And you can put your questions in the chat if you're on Zoom or in the comments on Facebook, and we will gather those questions for Ruben later in the morning. So this coffee hour will end at 11:30, just so you know. And I want to start by just talking about why did we decide to do this. Haiti is the unfortunate, I don't want to say victim, unfortunate recipient of many difficult issues and things that have happened, like earthquakes and gangs and kidnappings, the assassination of the president, an unstable, corrupt government, terrible racist issues with migration, and just generally racist treatment. And recently, President Biden has been just escalating the amount of deportation of Haitians back to Haiti. And so people have an odd, I think, view of Haiti. They think of it as a backward country and the poorest. It is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but it is more than just being a poor country. People also think of it as the land of non-governmental organizations, which there are a zillion of them in Haiti, and the land of missionaries. But having gone there, I will say that it has wonderful people. It has a beautiful culture and an important history, which I think Ruben will talk about. So I don't want to be the speaker about Haiti. I want to introduce Ruben and to inform us about what is really going on in Haiti. So Ruben Joanem is an immigrant from Haiti. He's been here for quite a few years. He's currently involved with the Haiti Justice Committee. And he recently made a trip to Haiti after the last earthquake and after the assassination of its president, Jovenel Moise. I can never say his name right. So, and he was there for 10 days. So he has some really on the ground recent information about what's going on in Haiti. And we're fortunate to have Ruben in Minnesota because he can tell us about what's going on in Haiti because he goes there regularly. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ruben, who will give us a short presentation, and then we will have some question and answers from the Solidarity Committee, and then you will have the chance to have questions and answers. So Ruben, it's up to you now.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. I'm really feel the love of all the committees, all those 13 committees, the Solidarity Committee, and all the friends that are working along with Haiti Justice Committee, Abel Connection, Marcy, and Rebecca, people who are, some of us are not able to make it today, but I'm so glad to be part of this effort to bring some light in terms of what is happening in Haiti, or what has been happening in Haiti for the past 2 centuries, or more recently for the past couple of decades. Haiti, most of you people who are participating in this project, in this meeting today, know Haiti as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, or that's what they want to believe anyway, or the images that have been on mass media is the projection that they're giving. But in reality, Haiti is a place of resiliency, of great courage, determination, and a wonderful culture. But I should also mention a few facts that kind of explain the overall situation of Haiti as it stands today. In January 1st, 1804, Haiti became the first independent Black nation. The first successful slave revolt were by the colonial forces. Back then, the French army under the rule of Napoleon Bonaparte was in Haiti to reestablish esclavage, to reestablish slavery after Toussaint Louverture has put a temporary stop to this practice on that part of the island, because Haiti occupy the west part of the island of Hispaniola. On the east, we have Santo Domingo, or Republic of Santo Domingo. But Haiti back then was Saint-Domingue, and under the leadership of Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Bois Canal, Bois Tonnerre, Cap Walamor, a whole group of Haitian soldiers, they fought the army of Napoleon that was leading by the brother-in-law of Napoleon Bonaparte, General Leclerc, and his friend Rochambeau. They fought and won the war of independence, and that was on November 1803. And few months later, in January 1st, let's say a month or so later, Jean-Jacques Dessalines in Gonaïves proclaimed the independence of, declare Haiti to be, declare Saint-Domingue exists no more. This land from now on will be known as Haiti. The name that the country used to have under when the native were running the island, but they were all decimated by the Spanish and the French colonial power in search of gold and also harvesting raw material for industry in Europe, namely France and Spain. Well, shortly, Haiti became independent. There was a lot of trouble because Haiti, although United States was the first nation to gain their independence from England in the North America or in the New World, or the so-called New World, Haiti is really the first free nation in the New World, because although USA was independent from England, but there was still slavery in the United States. So the fact to have Haiti as an independent Black republic, that was problematic for the colonial superpower back then. But the issue of free Black men on the island on that part of the island in Haiti was extremely problematic for the United States that have tons of people in slavery in the south of the USA. So Haiti did not receive any welcome mat from any nation, be it Europe or in America, because all those nations had back then slavery, was practicing slavery, and that was the main source of power for the industry, for agriculture, and all other sectors of society. So after the independence of Haiti, France, United States, and all the colonial superpower, they put on a naval blockade to isolate Haiti so they can kill off that nation. And Haiti is still fighting to survive and agree to pay an scandalous ransom to France, which was worth 80% of the GDP of Haiti for more than a century. Everything Haiti had or earned in terms of GDP, gross national product, was going to France to the rate of 80% of it. So only 20% of that stay for development in Haiti, for administration and so forth. And they were paying that debt because France claimed that Haiti must pay the former settlers, the French settlers, for the loss of property and slave. So Haiti was paying this debt forever until 1915. France then sold the promissory note to the United States of America, and the US promptly went and occupied Haiti to collect on the debt, and they were there from 1915 until 1945 or so. So to collect every single penny that were noted in the promissory note. So Haiti had a very, very bad start. The economy was ruined from then on. And after that, the country has been the theater of a series of governments that were placed by outside forces for the most part, and corrupt administration where the leaders were not interested in helping the nation, in helping the people of Haiti, but interested in maintaining the relation with the outside superpowers, such as France, US, England, Spain, Canada, and so forth. Now, what has been happening in Haiti for the past 2 or 3 decades or so, since the Duvalier regime left Haiti, the leaders, the political leaders, put together a constitution that creates an issue that is, to this day, is really a huge problem for Haiti. The Article 115 of that constitution gives lifetime immunity to all political actors. That means the crime, the corruption, whatever they do after they gain office or political power down there, they have immunity forever and ever. So that has been the major issue that is fueling most of the bad events down there. Because each administration is more corrupt than the previous one, because they know they are under lifetime immunity. You cannot go after them even when they leave office, whether for the criminal activities, whether for money laundering, whether it is for corruption. So as a result, the situation that we have today is a product of that constitution, the one from 1987, after Duvalier left office. So to make a long story short, in terms of the history of Haiti, for the past few decades, you have the dismantlement of the military of Haiti under the administration of Jean-Bertrand Aristide, because there was so many coups perpetrated by the military leaders that the administration of Jean-Bertrand Aristide decided that they're going to do away with the army in Haiti and replace it by the national police that was ill-equipped and not very well trained. Parallel to this movement, many political administration down there start feeling the necessity to have a form of militia, the same way that Duvalier has Tonton Macoute. All of those administrations make deals with disenfranchised people in the popular area, in the slums, in Cité Soleil, in La Saline, in Raboteau, Gonaïve, in La Fossette, au Cap, in the north of Haiti, to create some kind of secret or parallel movement to be the ear and the mouth of the administration, because the army has been dismantled. The national police was there, but they was not really as a strong force. So all of the administration, from Aristide to Préval to Martelly to Jovenel, they all have connection with those people living in the slum, and they give them firearms to be the mouth, to be the ear of the administration. And under the Aristide administration, those groups were known in Haiti as Zenglendo. They did not involve in overt kidnapping so much under the administration of the Aristide, but those movements started with that administration mainly because of the dismantlement of the army, and the administration think that they needed some backup in the slums. So these people were the ear that had their ear to the ground to make sure that the regime was able to stay in power. So all of those people that are actually in the slums, that don't have any, for the most part, no education, no future, no reason to stand against the possibilities of having a firearm and use it to make a living, they welcome those advances from those administrations. So as a result right now, the situation of gang in Haiti is really under the leadership of the two main political powers down there. The PHTK under the administration of Mateli, who were the previous administration before Jovenel, and also you have a group of people under the leadership of Jovenel administration. Now, these two rival groups are the ones that are running the show right now in Haiti. You don't have an effective government. The prime minister and all of his cabinet, they are totally worthless in terms of what is happening in the country. They do not have control. The most powerful leaders in Haiti is the leader of the gang group called G9, and his name is Barbecue. His real name is Jimmy Chegizier, and he was associated with Jovenel. And those groups are in opposition with the other groups that are under the administration, under the power, under the leadership of the PHTK. Those are the two rivals groups that are really running the show in Haiti right now, because Jovenel came into power because PHTK leaders, namely Mateli, wanted to come back to power after his mandate ended. He handed the power over to Jovenel, because in the same constitution of 1987, a president cannot succeed himself or herself. So Jovenel benefit that got this favor from Michel Martelly to hold the power so he can step out and then come back after Jovenel was in power. But Jovenel mandate ends, and he was making alliance with some enemy of Martelly, and the PHTK movement did not like that, along with some oligarchs in Haiti that are really controlling the industry, the commerce, and everything in Haiti, along with the people that are upset from the PHTK program movement. When they figure out a way to assassinate Jovenel Moïse. And you can see the gangs become so powerful if they can, along with the ruling political party, orchestrated any kind of assassination that they want, including the killing of Jovenel Moïse himself. So you can understand how much power these people really have. As a result, the situation, the civil society in Haiti can barely function. You have people like Barbecue, the leader of the G9, call and says, we're going to stop the distribution of fuel across the nation. And that's what happened. For quite some time, there was no fuel in any of the 9 or 10 counties of Haiti, because G9 leader Barbecue says, we're going to stop the distribution. And during the administration of Jovenel, I was in Haiti a couple of times. There was a phenomenon that they call pays lock country. They closed it down, they shut it down, and there was no fuel. People cannot travel from north to south or from west to east. Nothing was possible. And then later on, they managed to resolve the issue. But part of the problem of fuel shortage in Haiti is a direct result of the administration of Jovenel Moïse, because Jovenel Moïse, during the Trump administration, came to UN nation, to United Nations, and because Trump administration wanted to take sanction against Venezuela, Jovenel Moïse signed against Venezuela. And Venezuela forever has been our partner who has been supplying fuel to Haiti. So for that reason, the Maduro administration stopped the program that was sending fuel to Haiti, through which there was the famous PetroCaribe scandal, where the administration of Mateli and also the previous administration, they were receiving assistance and money from Venezuela in credit with low, almost no interest, for infrastructure, to develop, to build roads, for construction of schools, of hospitals. But all that money has been siphoned by these two administrations, namely Mateli and Jovenel. And also the previous administration, the money was coming, the alliance was made under the Preval administration with Hugo Chavez himself, who went to Haiti, and he visited several areas of Haiti. And after he went to Haiti, electricity were functioning pretty much in all of the territory of Haiti, because he provided engineering and technical assistance to produce electricity almost across the Republic of Haiti. But that was not a good thing in the eyes of Washington. The Bush administration back then put pressure, and Chavez has to stop some of the program. But the last drop, the last deadly blow to Haitian economy is the move that Jovenel Moïse made in the UN, at the United Nations, when he voted against Venezuela to support the Juan Guaido effort to overthrow Maduro, that was being supported by United States. Then Maduro withdrew shut down the last part of the program through which Haiti was receiving fuel from Venezuela. Now, the suppliers that provide fuel in Haiti are two companies from Florida, and they want cash ahead of time. That's part of the issue. And for the most part, the cash is not available because of corruption, because of all kind of things. But Venezuela was giving Haiti the fuel 60 cents a gallon after delivery. And they had 90 days to pay for the fuel after they receiving it. In other words, they were receiving the fuel, and then they were able to sell it, and then they have 90 days to pay back Venezuela. But now, after Jovenel voted against Venezuela, against the Maduro administration, now Maduro stopped the last section of the program. Now, Haiti have to get the fuel from a supplier from Florida, and they want cash ahead of time. So that's part of the issue. Sometimes the cargo ship is in the Port-au-Prince area with the fuel on board, but they want cash payment first. So that was part of the holding that were causing, or that is still causing, the fuel shortage in Haiti. Although the gang that are ruling, that are controlling Port-au-Prince, Matissan, Croix-des-Bouquets, and other part of the country, they sometimes stop the fuel trucks from going around the country to distribute the fuel. But part of the issue is also the fact that now Haiti has to pay cash to those suppliers that have their refinery in Florida. And it's no longer a 90-day credit term for the fuel. It's cash upfront. So that's part of the issue. Now, the gangs, as I said, they are affiliated with the administration, with the people in power, with lawmakers, with senators, with ministers, with you name it. They have connection at the highest level of the Haitian political rulers. So most of those leaders, they did not anticipate how much space, how much power those gangs, how powerful the gangs were to become, because they were using them for political reason, and sometimes for financial reason, to earn money. When a kidnapper get somebody and they want $100,000 US, those guys don't have anywhere to hold that money, to count. They don't even know how to count that much money. So they have people behind them that would benefit from those from those transactions, from those extortion, and that would go and put those money in bank account, sometime in Haiti, sometime in the US, sometime in Canada. But those transactions, those guys that are doing the kidnapping, they're not the ultimate consumer or user of that money, of that fund that is being generated by the kidnapping activities. No. And then before Jovenel assassination, there is a former colonel from the Haitian army that Jovenel contacted to help him to slow down the gang activities. And he went to the palace and sit down with Jovenel. His name is Colonel Himmler Rebu. He told President Jovenel that, okay, the gang activity across the nation is being fueled by 26 individuals, 26 families that are benefiting from selling firearms and ammunition to these people. And these people that are those suppliers, they are all of them are your friends. If you're seeking advice as to how to cut down on gang activities, are you ready to issue an arrest warrant for those 26 individuals? You know them, they are your friend. Jovenel Moïse declined. He said no. So it is not necessarily what you see on the street. These gang activities have ramification at the highest level of the administration. And while I was in Haiti, as Marcy mentioned, my wife and I and another friend, we went to Haiti after the last earthquake that was after the assassination of Jovenel Moïse, because people in the south of Haiti were in desperate situation, and we went with a mobile medical clinic. We hired people from Haiti, doctors and nurses from Haiti, and then we bring some construction material. We bring some food, some package, some etc. We were there for 10 days, and we went to the most remote part of Haiti, of Lekai, to do those distribution. But what was interesting is while we were down there, there was a a preacher, a minister, who were involved with a woman in his church. And the husband of this woman become the minister of justice under the administration of the current Prime Minister Ariel Henry. So this justice minister ordered the kidnapping of this minister, of this preacher, because he was previously involved with his wife. As he become a minister, a powerful guy, so he have the pastor kidnapped. So this is just an example to tell you what is happening on the street. What is happening is not necessarily the activities of lawless or of bandits that do not have any connection, any networking with the administration, with the institution in Haiti. Now it's get out of the control, because to see the gang from Quadebouquet that they call 400 Maozo kidnapping 17 foreigners, including 16 American, 1 Canadian, after they had previously kidnapped few people from France that were on a Catholic mission down there. So the gang become so emboldened, so they operate with so much impunity. Now they do not even care who they're kidnapping. And the thing is so complicated that the Haitian administration lose control of all those activities. Now, they do not know exactly what to do, how to handle the situation. Whether you're talking about the fuel crisis, whether you're talking about the destruction of all institutions, like school cannot function because the gang are asking for ransom payment. Churches cannot function. Hospital cannot function because there is no fuel. So I don't know where this is going, but you can see from the news, from what is going on, Haiti right now, and this is what I need to say as a request, is in no shape right now to be receiving tons of people that are being deported from the United States, from Bahamas, from the from the Dominican Republic. So the request with my talk would be for the United States to put a moratorium on deportation and allow the people of Haiti to breathe, to recuperate their strength. And until there is an administration that can handle the gang situation, at least all deportation should be stopped. So I can take a few questions. If you have some point that you want me to touch, some area that we should discuss, let me know.
So I will ask a few questions from the committee that we put together, and then we'll have a chance from the participants to ask questions. You know, one of the things I think about is the media in the United States, the mainstream media. And basically they cover the worst things that happen in Haiti, like the kidnappings, the assassination, and the gangs to some degree. And they also covered the migrants that were in Texas, but there's a lot of things that aren't covered. And how does the impact of all this terrible coverage by the US media, is there an impact in Haiti in terms of people just not being able to deal with things because the US has the wrong ideas about what's going on in Haiti? Or is it accurate what's going on in Haiti?
Okay, it has impact, and second of all, it is not accurate. Okay, it's for the most part they take the little sound bite or the thumb point that interesting that is good enough to bring to do whatever it is that they want to do, but it's not about revealing exactly what's going on. And it's impact Haiti in many ways, in terms of people who want to go to Haiti, even Haitian. Well, as we speak right now, it's rather prudent not to go to Haiti right now. But otherwise, normally there's more noise about a single negative event in Haiti. Let's say one person die in the hand of kidnapping. That is, they're going to cover that for quite some time. You know, they're going to make a lot of noise about it. But if you go to Chicago in one night, they kill 5 or 6 people, no big deal. It seems to be current event or that barely worth mentioning. But if that's thing happening, if one person get killed in Port-au-Prince, that's a bigger news. So it affects negatively Haiti in terms of even Haitian of the diaspora. Sometimes they cancel the trip down there. They don't go because, and if that is true for Haitian, it is even more true for other people who want to go to Haiti. For the most part, there are hotels, there are places where we can go and not being affected by all those noise. But as we speak right now, it's tend to reason that people should try to wait and see before traveling down there.
Thank you. So do people think that because there's all this in the media about all of these terrible things, that some of this is going to be a pretext for the US to intervene in Haiti? Or do you think that that's not going to happen? What do people in Haiti think, and what do Haitian Americans think about US intervention, whether it'll happen? Military intervention or anything.
Okay. There are two answers to that. First of all, some people in Haiti would like to see some assistance from US forces to help get rid of those bandits, of those gangs, of those lawless people that are kidnapping, killing, and imposing, basically suffocating life out of the population in Haiti. They would have to have a quick mission that goes and help kidnap those, capture those bandits and put them away. That's how far they would like to see an intervention, like not an intervention in terms of an occupying forces that go and take over everything, take over the country. They would like to see the leadership of the nation goes back to civil society, to people that are willing and able to run the country. But they would also, but that they would like to see some help. And they see the kidnapping of those 17 foreigners as possibly as a way out, because they think the US might send a special force to rescue these people and deal with those lawless bandits, those bad guys.
Are there still UN forces in Haiti?
No, not anymore. They left a while ago after the cholera incident, and there is none of them. In fact, the incident of the cholera is being resolved. I don't know. They were supposed to help out some of the victim families down there, but I don't think that never happened. So there's still unresolved issue regarding the last mission from the UN in Haiti.
So I'm trying to understand. I really appreciate your talk and what you have said, because a lot of this I don't understand, and even though I follow Haiti, and so it's good to hear about your view on the gangs, on the governments, the corruption. It would be, is there a group of people who are behind the gangs, behind the government, who are really pulling the strings? I was thinking about oligarchs or some people in the US, or is there a sense of that it is in fact the gangs that are in charge and government, the political people?
Okay.
Or is there another group behind them?
There is several layers to that cake. Okay, there was, oh yeah, first of all, the gang that are operating on the ground, they have behind them the political rulers in Haiti, and some of the oligarchs, some of the families that control, that have some of those juicy contracts from the government, like $1 million of a contract of few $1 million for electricity that they never produce, millions of dollars for road that they never build, millions of dollars for bridges that they never build, or for whatever it is. These people, they have the administration in their pocket, and they are very powerful, the administration in Haiti. On the other hand, the level of corruption that you see in the administration are being maintained by the fact that the leaders that are in political power down there are being supported by Washington, by Canada, because they represent the interests of those people. Let's take an example. Like when Martelly was running for president, there was another candidate that were a great politician. Her husband, it was Maniga. Her husband was in power for a short period of time, but he got issues, and then he died later on. So Madam, his wife, was running, and she was the competent person to hold the office. But during that time, Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State under the Obama administration when this election was running. Martelly was living in Florida and was first facing bankruptcy, lost his house in foreclosure, and he was running then. But he promised the Clinton that they can have the right to mine anything that getting the mining right in Haiti. So Mrs. Clinton put her weight behind Martelly, although Maniga won the election, but Martelly was the president. So those kind of manipulation that serve the interests of powerful people abroad, whether it is in the US or in Canada or in France, are happening every day in Haiti. So what you see on the ground, like the suppliers of the weapons and the ammunition, the bullet, etc., that keep those firearms running. They are being either purchases in the in the USA. The bullet, the ammunition, everything is being supplied by people that are here, by a network of people in Haiti that are connected to the gang, to the leader, to the political leaders, and to the oligarch. And those are the ones who are really running the show.
That's just, to hear that is kind of amazing that the US is, that the people in the US are controlling the gangs and the violence and it's, I was thinking when you were talking about the whole relationship with Venezuela and how there's really two, within the Western Hemisphere, there's two groupings of countries, those that are sort of pro-Venezuela, Cuba, Bolivia, and then those that are sort of pro-US and US countries that support the US, and how difficult it is because there's all this other politics that's impacting Haiti, as they're trying to deal with all these questions, because the US has such a strong attitude towards Venezuela. So it was difficult for them to have the fuel from Haiti, to have the fuel from Venezuela. So it's like Haiti becomes a puppet of all of this, as well as trying to deal with its own problems.
Yes.
So I want to change the subject a little, because this has been, it's difficult to listen to, and all of the issues is, I don't know if it's still going on. There was a commission of civil society groups that was getting together, and they were trying to develop somebody else's voice is on there besides mine. So they're trying to develop a different kind of a government, and they're trying to develop basically a government that would work and that would not be totally corrupt.
Yeah.
Is this commission still going, and are they having any success in developing sort of a new idea for the government that wouldn't be so corrupt and so not able to do anything?
Well, several grassroots organizations, movements are trying to implement some kind of a honest government. But what people must understand is that is not so much the will of the people as it is the power of people who are in financial and economic position to do things. The only time there was a very strong movement that brought in power one candidate, it was during the Haiti election.
Yes.
Otherwise, whatever it is, what you see, the movement that you see out there, it's not all there is to it. Okay, the people who will be who will finally gain access to power or to cabinet level in this administration, they are strictly controlled by outsiders. Okay, when you come as a candidate, nobody interfere. They let you they let you run and see how you're doing, but then right away they put a profile together for all the candidates. People would know in a few days after your candidate come out whether they're going to support you. You need money to run the campaign. Whoever would, because it's called, if you don't have the funding available, your candidacy will not succeed. So the selection began at the primary level. When they see everybody who say they want to run it, they will check to see where you stand with respect to being in line with either Washington, Canada, France, or if you are like when the Aristide administration came into power, it was somewhat of a leftist, of a populist grab of power. But during his administration, he was able to stay in power after he started aligning his administration with the powerful rulers around him, be it in Haiti or outside of Haiti. Otherwise, they take him out of power. You have to behave, you have to promise to behave, then you can come back. If you're not behaving, if you're not doing it in accordance with the big players, you will not be in power for long. You will either be killed, there will be a coup, or they can come out flatly, kill you, assassinate you, and that's the end. That's the end of it. So it's not always in the hand of the people, and you can see what's going on in Cuba, what's going on in Venezuela, or what was going on in with the Evo Morales administration. You can see, depending on which side of the geopolitical spectrum that you fall, that's going to determine the longevity of your administration, whether you're going to be there for less than 4 years or whether you're going to be there for 30 years. It depends on how you align your administration with the big players, with the geopolitical players of the era.
Yes, right, definitely. I have another question related to sort of the people. You know, there was many big demonstrations and protests in Haiti for a while. I don't know that they're going on anymore, but on the streets, there were huge amounts. Looked like a lot of younger people, and they were just every day having protests. Is that still going on? Does it have any impact on anything?
Well, once in a while, people will take to the street, but it's not so much happening right now because there's so many issues going on right now. People have to fight very hard to survive. If you cannot go out to buy a piece of, to do grocery, if your kids cannot go to school, if pregnant women do not have access to go to, they do not have a place to go to have the baby, the hospitals are closed, the churches cannot function. Society is under the tight grip of the gangs. So at this time, venture out for manifestation, for protestation doesn't pay too much. You have to have some leaders that are willing to listen to your grievances. It doesn't exist in Port-au-Prince right now. The prime minister, all his cabinet, they just siphoning money. Just they don't do a thing.
Yeah.
They don't, like a few days ago was the anniversary of the independence of Haiti. They did not even go out to make a speech. November 18th is the day that we celebrate our independence. Okay, they didn't come out to do it. They are totally dysfunctional. You cannot go and make revendication when there is no one to listen to your revendication. People are trying to get organized together to figure out where to go from there, but in this movement in themselves, they do not have the financial mean of advance the project, the grievances, or whatever it is that they want to do. They are being pushed to the fetal position to the point where they have to survive just to breathe, just to find water to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm getting that sense from what you've been saying, that it's really just basic survival for
Yeah,
people
basic.
there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna turn it over to Jairus, who's gonna give us questions from the participants and kind of help walk through some more questions. Is there anything else you want to say before Jairus starts, Ruben, about the situation there? Or I know.
One thing that I need to say, the way where we are right now started long time ago, where people, they start destabilizing agriculture down there. There was a time where the peasant in Haiti, they have pigs. They can sell them to send their kids to school. Duvalier take some money from IMF, they kill all the pigs, and then from now on, they imported pigs from Iowa that requires condition of existence that the peasant himself do not have. You have to go grocery shopping for the pig, for those pigs. The peasant or people in the rural Haiti do not do that for themselves. And after that, they destroy the garment industry down there. When I was growing up, there was a tailor shop in every corner of Cape Haitian of Port-au-Prince, big, where people go buy their costume when people are getting married, when you're going to go to school, when you want to go to church, you go and find a guy to make for you a nice suit, a nice pair of pants. With the clothing, leftover clothing industry, from the goodwill industry, from the from the aftermarket store, they dump all that in Haiti. Now nobody is sewing. There is no sewing machine. There is no when I was growing up, people go to learn how to become a tailor, how to become a shoemaker, how to become. Now all this is destroyed. When I was growing up, we were producing rice. After now all the rice in Haiti have been supplied by 2 companies from Texas. When I was growing up, we were exporting coffee beans. They destroyed that. We don't have anybody. There was people in every section of Haiti buying coffee to export. There is no more that. We used to export cocoa beans for chocolate. They take that out too. We need to. I can go to a list of things that from the time I was going to school up to the time that I come to the United States that no longer existed in Haiti. They take them out one after one after one after one. And each one, you can trace it back to a loan, to a program, to something that the condition of repayment was to close out that. The condition of the repayment is to buy surplus stuff from this. So now the population of Haiti that were living on the farms, they all came to the city to swell the slums of Cité Soleil, of La Saline, of Raboteau, of all those slums around all the metro area in Haiti. And they're selling nothing, water, whatever they can try to do to survive in an urban environment where there is no, you cannot grow food or crops, or you cannot even, you cannot be a tailor, you cannot be a shoemaker. All things are wiped out in the society. So it becomes 100% dependent from outsiders.
And I think people need to understand that the US has been behind all of this, that the pigs, the rice, the coffee, the chocolate, the garment. So what the US was doing was selling Haiti used clothing because there was no more of a garment industry. So it was like clothing that came from Goodwill or Savers or, and not decent clothing for people to be able to wear that would be handmade at a tailor. So I think it's really important for people to understand this as they're thinking about Haiti, that how much the US is behind everything that's happened. So I'm emphasizing what Ruben has been saying. So I will turn it over now to Jairus. Are you there, Jairus?
Yeah. I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, Jairus.
Hi. Ruben, one of the questions that we talked about as a committee, and right now I don't see any questions in the chat. There is in the chat a link to a WAM newsletter that would give some more, reiterate and some more information about the history and the things that you've been covering. But one of the questions we were wondering about is the effects of climate change in Haiti. Sorry.
Yeah.
What are people talking about or experiencing? I mean, I know there's been earthquakes and hurricanes, and can you tell us about that?
Okay. It's really it has a direct impact on Haiti because of mismanagement. The energy crisis in Haiti is a huge issue. As a result, we have the population undergo a terrible phase of deforestation. The main source of fuel in Haiti has been the trees. They cut trees to make charcoal. They cut trees to cook. They cut trees for construction. They cut trees for everything. And mismanagement and a Department of Agriculture that exists only in terms of a name, but that is 100% non-functional, doesn't care about the Minister of Agriculture. They are a bunch of bureaucrats that never step foot on a land, on a field. So they are totally bureaucratic bureaucrats that has nothing to do with agriculture, with land and soil management and soil conservative or the conservation of soil. They do not know any of this. Those are city folks that don't know anything, that won't even get their hand in the dirt for any reason. So as a result, Haiti fall victim of a huge deforestation campaign. The electricity or any kind of source of energy that was supposed to go to help the population meet their need in terms of energy is non-existent. And the oligarchs that are getting money to provide electricity to the population do not care to provide any of that. So the people have to fence for themselves, cook their food the way they know how, the way they can, do their construction, produce the heat that they need the way they can, and that is using the trees. So Haiti is really a big disaster in terms of climate issues, problem, you name it. It's mismanagement has had a huge impact on Haiti.
Yes, thank you. There is another question about talking about, are there doctors coming into Haiti? Like we were talking about the COVID situation and thinking about it and wondering if there are still Cuban doctors in Haiti, or if Doctors Without Borders comes in for help.
Okay, Doctors Without Borders, they've been there, and the Cuban doctors have been there, for a while and for quite some time now. But the current situation do not allow any of those institutions to function because there is no fuel. And one of the gang leader, the gang leader said that they were going to allow fuel to the distribution of fuel to resume last week. I talked to a couple of people in Haiti. It has not started yet. They're still fighting, to get a gallon of fuel, So and the hospitals that were functioning were closing their door. They were saying that we can only function 1 day a week. We have that much fuel for our generators, So there's no, the central power plant do not really function, do not, at best, do not have the capacity to provide for those institutions to function normally. So the fuel shortage is affecting all of these. So that's where we are right now. Until they solve the fuel issue or put away those bandits that are to allow the truck fuels to go around, because they will kidnap the truck and the driver, And somebody sent me a post of something happening near Matisson, the southern edge of Port-au-Prince, where a truck fuel were trying to go through. They spray this truck with bullet, and you see the fuel is spewing, out of the container, So, and sometimes it becomes so dangerous because you don't have firefighters really to fight those things. It's just people using their buckets, to put out fire. So it's turned out to be dangerous because the gangs are really putting their foot on the neck of the country. They want to stop everything. And why it is still happening, why the administration doesn't try to prevent it, that is another question that we need that might try to answer.
Right. You mentioned that you called for a stop or a moratorium on deportations so Haiti could catch their breath and try to settle a little bit. Are there other things that we as activists could be doing, in your opinion, to support?
The number one thing is really we can put all our weight behind the deportation issue, and also I remember there was under the Clinton administration a project called NAFTA, where people were allowed to free trade program, but it was for all countries except Haiti. I remember that provision distinctly. It involved the Dominican Republic and all the other countries. The provision said except Haiti. So again, it might be due to corruption or to other issue, but there was a prevalent prejudice against Haiti. There are good stuff down there. If only the international community stop treating Haiti as a disease-infested places where everybody has HIV, that's those kind of things. So the thing that we can do as soon as the country start breathing again, we can go stay in a hotel down there, because there are decent things going on. If you go spend $2 down there, you help a family to survive. So regardless of the political administration, how they behaving, I'm always encouraged to see people that are brave enough to say, I'm going to see on my own. I'm going to see what's going on down there. as I said, for the time being, I'm not recommended that anybody goes there. But again, when things cool down, when they put those gangsters where they belong, it's good for people to go there. There's a nice hotel, there's nice resort, nice beaches where people can go enjoy nice fish, nice lobsters, or it is a coastal land, there's the Atlantic is all around the place. It's beautiful. Don't always buy the information that the media is selling. They're doing that for a reason, but there's more to Haiti than what these people are flashing. They are nice and beautiful places. Not some hotels are trying to survive. So when you come and spend $20, $50, you help them pay staff, you help them keep up the place, you help them, it goes far versus governmental assistance or whatever those big projects are. They are not very effective in that those are money that are spent in the host country than in Haiti. But when you or I go as a person, we go directly to a hotel, we go to a restaurant, we go to the places and we spend $20, $50, that goes a long way. Otherwise, the money that comes in the official capacity, it just come right back to the host country in terms of technical assistance, or the corrupt leader down there take the money and put it back in the account in the US or in Canada. So we, as individuals, we can do a lot. We can do a lot by going there sometime, but when things come down.
Thank you. Hopefully that will happen for me someday.
Very soon, yes.
Yeah. Another question we have is, are there members of Congress in the United States that are supporting healthier, happier, equitable things happening in Haiti?
There are few, though I'm not too familiar with them, but I know there was a couple of congresspeople from Florida. I know that are very involved. There was I would have to do a little bit of research on that, but I know we have friends and foes everywhere. that they did, and this is why I am putting out the idea of pushing for a moratorium on deportation, because we know sometimes those things fall on good ears, on people of good soul, in people who are of goodwill, that would bring this notion to the right person. Like there was one of the envoys from the Biden administration, Daniel Foote, that resigned from his mission in Haiti, and he wrote a very meaningful piece of writing, and he was at he went to Congress for a hearing and all the stuff. I heard his grievances, his letter of resignation. So they are good people, good actors also, because the very little things that are going right for the country will not be functioning if there are no good people, if we don't have good friends from America, good friend from Canada, good friend from France. When I'm saying that, it's just our enemy are sometimes inside of the country, sometimes outside of the country. And our worst enemy are not the outside powers. It is the alliances that are being formed between the oligarch in Haiti for reason that we don't have time to elaborate right now, and outside sources. I look at situation of country like Japan, they don't have as much resources as Haiti has in terms of what we have in the ground, under the ground, our coastline, our sea. We have more resources than Japan.
Wow.
We do, in terms of mine, in terms of underground resources, everything. But that, I look at those situations, they don't mean that the country, the land itself, it's poor. I look at country like Ivory Coast, places where they gold and diamond, and I look at the population and places where they have oil. That doesn't mean the resources are being used for the good, to promote development, to promote social wellness of that nation. They've been siphoned by outside power, by outside sources. It's not just the case of Haiti. If you look at Africa, there's a lot of resources down there, but people are suffering.
Mm-hmm.
People are suffering seriously. Whether they have raw material, whether they have mine, whether they have whatever it is that they have. Somehow, other people think they're entitled to whatever resources there is on the planet, regardless of where it is located. When you look at the situation of Haiti, less than 5% of people own close to 90% of the resources of the nation. So the distribution or the lack thereof of opportunities, of possibilities, the fact that corruption is so rampant, and the fact that all the leaders give themselves immunity for crime that they commit while they're in office, or even after they leave office. You know, they figure out a way to wrap themselves around pretty much everything there is in terms of resources for the population. That's where the issue comes from. It's not the lack of resources. It's a human management problem.
Yeah. Do you have suggestions of safe or good places that we could send donations of money to?
Well, there are quite a few places that Haiti Justice Committee have recommended in the past. So I will make an arrangement to make a list available, and I will communicate that to Haiti Justice Committee, and then make it available, for that. Yeah.
Okay, that would be great.
Yes.
I have my own little personal question, which is, I've always seen you as a very positive person, and I know you love your country. And these are such dire things. How do you stay so positive and hopeful? What feeds you for that? I'm always amazed by that.
Well, part of it is you cannot give up. As soon as you do, or as soon as you become passive, you allow the bad people to triumph. You allow them more latitude to do whatever it is that they're doing. I know sometimes I will go with a group, or I go with some friend, I go by myself, whatever it is that you can do. Even if you help a girl go to school, it's a good thing. Even if you help a child get a meal for a day, you're not going to solve, we're not called to solve all the problem around the globe. Nobody can by him or herself. But each one of us can make a difference in life of somebody. If you allow somebody to have a better day, if you allow somebody to have a little bit of hope in life, you put them in position to fight one more day. Maybe they will be done after that fight. Maybe not for everybody, but for that person who's going to go on and encourage somebody else, who's going to go on and give a hand to X or Y to somebody else. Or all we can do is our little part. If we fail to do so, we are as guilty as the wrongdoers, as those who are decide to do evil against the brothers and sisters. So if we can do a little bit of bring a little bit of positive message to somebody, we allow that person to fight one more day. And you never know what the next fight might lead to. It might be victory. You never know.
Well, thank you. That is very inspiring and helpful. And
Yes,
sometimes
yes.
I can get a little down listening to
Yeah.
things.
We have to keep up
Yeah.
the good thoughts and the
Well,
good fight.
Thank you, Ruben. This has been very helpful, and it's always wonderful to talk to you and see you. So I also
you,
want
thank
to, we do have to end. We have
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I know.
time is up, but hopefully we can have you back another time.
Yes,
And
yes, I'd be happy to.
yeah. I want to thank all the participants who were on today, and thank you for attending. We have Carla Reilly, who does an excellent job with the technology on Zoom and
Thank you.
Facebook, and she does a wonderful job. Sarah Martin has been fielding questions and
Yes.
suggestions for questions, and we had 13 really good co-hosts who we want to thank
you.
for
Yes.
their support, and all of their members who may see this on Facebook or other places or hear about them from friends and can watch it again. I know I'm going to need to watch this again because there's so much to know. The next coffee hour for the SCOTA committee is on Saturday, January 8th at 10 o'clock, and it will be on Zoom and Facebook. Our topic is going to cover recent elections in Latin America, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Honduras, Chile, Argentina. I don't know if we'll cover all of those, but we'll try to cover some of them.
Yeah.
And watch for information on the SCOTA Facebook page.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, and bye. And it's been nice seeing you. Seeing you all guys.